Government is not opposing the motion put forward by the deputies, and I welcome the opportunity this morning to discuss the important issue of the carers' supports provided by the Department of Social Protection. I do want to thank the deputies for bringing forward this motion. I think it is a very timely discussion. Next Tuesday, the Government will be announcing a package of measures under Budget 2025. As in previous years, in the run-up to the budget, the Minister for Social Protection and I have been advocating strongly on behalf of pensioners, people with disabilities, lone parents, carers and children. Minister Humphreys and I have always sought to make sure that the interests of carers and, importantly, the people they care for, are front and centre of budget decisions. In Budget 2021, we increased the carer support grant to €1,850, its highest ever level. Over the last 3 budgets, the weekly carers payments, carers allowance and carers benefit have increased by €29 per week. In addition, over the last number of budgets, there have been a suite of once-off lump sum and double payments to assist carers and those they care for with the cost of living crisis and rising bills. Minister Humphreys has also delivered on the programme for government commitment to provide a pension solution for long-term carers. From January 2024, a new long-term carers contribution scheme was introduced. This significant reform enables long-term carers who have been caring for an incapacitated dependent for 20 years or more to qualify for the state pension contributory. Under the scheme, for the first time, full-time carers can get long-term carers contributions to cover gaps in their contribution record, which can help them qualify for the pension. We know this reform is a great comfort and relief to the many carers across the country who have spent their lives caring for loved ones. At the end of August, over 5,381 people had been awarded the long-term carers contributions since the scheme was opened. 532 of these customers have been awarded state pension contributory, while a further 148 received an increase in the rate paid. The main income supports provided by the Department of Social Protection include carers allowance, carers benefit, domiciliary care allowance and a carers support grant. Spending on these payments in 2024 is expected to be in the region of €1.7 billion. Since 2015, there have been significant increases across all the carers schemes. The number of people claiming carers allowance has increased by 54%, leading to nearly 84% increase in the cost of the scheme. The number of people claiming carers benefit has increased by 81%, and the cost of the scheme has increased by 92%. And the largest relative increases were to the domiciliary care allowance, with a 91% increase in recipients, leading to an increase in expenditure of over 126%. Carers allowance is the main scheme by which the Department provides income support to carers in the community. Some 97,406 people are currently supported by this payment. And this year, the expenditure on the carers allowance scheme is estimated to be over €1.1 billion. As the deputies are aware, carers allowance is a means-tested social assistance payment awarded to those who are caring for people who need full-time care and attention. While the caring requirements of carees may be different, this does not affect the rates of carers allowance, as it is intended to provide an income support for the carer and does not depend on the individual's caree's requirements. The means test ensures that support is provided to those most in need and plays a critical role in determining whether or not an income need arises as a consequence of caring. We have made significant improvements to capital and income disregards for carers. This Government has implemented the first improvements to the carers allowance means test in 14 years in order to enable more people to qualify for the payment. As part of Budget 2022, Government increased the income limit for a couple from €665 to €750 and for a single person from €332.50 to €350. In addition, the amount of savings disregarded in the carers allowance means test was increased from €20,000 to €50,000. What often gets missed is that this equates to €100,000 not taken into account for the means test in the case of a carer who is part of a couple. This is not an insignificant sum, especially when compared to the capital disregards for other means tested payments, for example, job seekers allowance with a capital disregard of €20,000. As part of Budget 2024 and with effect from June, the Government has gone further again, and the weekly income disregard from €350 to €450 for a single person and from €750 to €900 for carers with a spouse or partner. Since June 2022, this amounts to cumulative increases to the disregards of €117.50 for a single carer and €235 for a carer who is part of a couple. These changes have meant that carers on a reduced rate moved to a higher payment. In addition, many carers who previously did not qualify for a payment due to their means were brought into the carers allowance system for the first time. These are the highest income disregards in the social welfare system. A single carer can earn €185 more than a person on a disability allowance before their income is assessed. This motion calls for a roadmap to the abolition of the carers allowance means test by 2027. The reality is that abolishing the means test would result in people who may have higher sources of income benefiting while reducing the scope for the department to provide income supports to lower income households. Those carers who rely solely on the income from the carers allowance payment would not benefit from the abolition of the means test. As stated previously, carers allowance, like other social assistance schemes, operates on the basis of a means test. These schemes are in place to ensure that people without adequate means are provided with income supports by the state in order to alleviate poverty. A means test is a way of checking if a claimant has enough financial resources to support themselves and determine what amount of social assistance payment, if any, they may qualify for. Officials in the department have conservatively estimated that the cost of removing the means test for carers allowance will be an additional €600 million per annum based on current claim numbers, in other words, before adding new inflow of claims. This estimate is based on departmental administrative data relating to the carer support grant payment. It is worth noting that the figure takes no account of potential flow of carers onto the scheme, as it is difficult to predict how many that would be. Census 2022 records approximately 290,000 self-reported carers over 19 years of age, with the total having increased by 50% to over 299,000 from 195,000 6 years previously. The Carers Organisation estimate that over 500,000 family carers in Ireland, which is 200,000 more than the official figures contained in Census 2022. Of course, it is acknowledged that there is uncertainty about how many people would meet the other conditions of the scheme, for example, providing full-time care and the overlap between the census and the current recipients of the carers allowance payment. However, if this is the case, the number of carers is that high, it follows that the cost of the abolition of the means test is also high. The department has costed a potential inflow of the people who self-reported as carers in the census. Once the inflow is reckoned, the cost estimates rise between €880 million and €2 billion a year. While there are some who have called for a form of payment for caring or participative income, carers allowance is not the appropriate vehicle through which to address the issue. Minister Humphreys has made it clear on several occasions that any such proposal for a payment for caring would fall outside the social welfare system. It is also worth pointing out that the removal of the means test would create complications with respect to exportability of the payment within the EU framework for social security, as is the case with the Universal Child Benefit Scheme. Payments might have to be made to people living or being cared for outside of the state, costing significantly more than the low to high estimates provided by the department. This is a further reason why any non-means tested carers payment should sit outside the social welfare system. Notwithstanding the substantial improvements made to the payments under her remit, the Minister for Social Protection did establish an interdepartmental working group with the Department of Health and the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth to examine the review of the system of means testing for carers payments. This group is expected to report to the Minister on its findings in Q4 of this year, and I can confirm, Deputy Berry, we're looking at the middle of Q4 this year. The outcome of this work and the other work in the department around means testing generally, also due in the coming weeks, will help inform any future decisions regarding changes to social welfare payments, including carers allowance. I want to assure the deputies that the government remains fully committed in doing all we can to support family carers. As I said at the outset, we're not opposing the motion. I think all of us in the House recognise the valuable contribution that family carers make to our society, and we all want to further enhance the supports available to them. Minister Humphreys has done a lot to improve carers' payments during her time as Minister, and while we recognise that more needs to be done, we need to make sure that whatever we do is affordable and sustainable into the future. I just want to thank the deputies again for raising this matter, and I look forward to your contributions.